My name's Mike Fresh. With me is Jason Heat coming to the ring. Mike Z, who has a really weird connection with this crowd because when we're down the road about an hour, they love him in Houston. When we're in Selbyville, they hate each other.
There's a real hate-hate relationship between the town of Selbyville and Mike Z. We haven't seen Mike Z for a few months. He has come back looking meaner, angrier. No one's spot is guaranteed here in 1CW. There's a lot of new, impressive talent that have been making their way onto the roster, and everyone wants to be on the card every month. You get more opportunities, you make more money, and this is a chance for Mike Z to maybe make a statement.
Well, he definitely has his chance now because his opponent
is one of the biggest names in 1CW, a future first ballot Hall of Famer for sure here in 1CW.
One of the pillars. The one Miles Millennium, who's been a little salty.
Miles Millennium recently scored a win over Tim Spriggs, one of the most accomplished submission wrestlers in the world. It was a great way to bounce back from losing his title to trucker Josh Windsor. But the question still remains, where does Miles Millennium go from here? What division will Miles take aim in? If he can get past Mike Z on paper, this is Miles Millennium's to lose. This is one of the biggest opportunities in the young career of Mike Z, going up against, as you mentioned, one of the pillars, and Z clearly knows it.
Z bringing the fight right to him. He knows if he wants to win this, he has to beat Miles fast.
He said he was going to come back meaner. He said he was going to come back more aggressive. This is an opportunity for a statement win over a main event talent, someone who has won almost every title in this company.
I do want to point out something, and we usually don't tell viewers to rewind a little bit, but I kind of feel like if you would rewatch that entrance, Miles looked like he was just kind of walking through the steps. There was no real smile or emotion on his face.
And there's a real question about whether Miles Millennium has peaked here at 1CW. It's a tough thing to say. It's a tough question to ask, but it's a question that Miles, the philosophical fighter, has really been asking himself. I asked Miles what he's currently reading because he's a very well-read man, always likes to have unconventional texts in his back pocket to sort of draw inspiration from. And he said he's currently reading The Art of Pessimism. So if that's not a great place to start with where Miles Millennium's headspace is right now, I don't know what is.
Leapfrog. Ducks under Mike Z. You know, first of all, Arthur Schopenhauer is someone that I think everybody should read at some point. His treatise on pessimism really is one of the leading books on pessimism in the philosophy world. Really talks about the intricacies of immorality and immortality and how that affects people's outviews. But Miles Millennium, there's nothing really behind his eyes right now. Like, this doesn't look like something he's passionate about. He's definitely trying to win, but
Miles Millennium is a hyper athlete. I mean, Miles is so talented. He's so quick. He's so athletically gifted. He tries all the time that even if, and it's a big if, we're not sure. This is a lot of supposition on parts, but even if Miles Millennium is experiencing a bit of a crisis in faith, whether in himself or pro wrestling, he is still better than 90% of the roster on his worst day. And is this even one of his worst days?
And I wouldn't even see 90% of this roster. You could walk into just about any company, cover. He could walk into just about any company that you could think of, and he's going to be better than 90% of the roster.
But this provides a great opportunity for Mike Z. If there was ever a moment for him to break out of the pack, if there was ever a moment for this young, hungry talent, who everyone acknowledges has a huge upside to truly cement himself here in 1CW, it is right now against Miles Millennium.
Talking with Mike Z in the back, one of the things that he realizes, and I'm going to paraphrase the great wrestling advocate who said every single time that he steps out there, it is an audition for the next show. And Mike Z, that's pretty much his attitude right now.
Well, it certainly is. We've talked about it. No one's spot is guaranteed right now, except for maybe a select few. You see recurring. Miles Millennium, Sean Carlson, Chris Wilde, Ty Awesome. Those are the main event players here in 1CW. Perennial title holders, perennial title contenders. But we got a lot of new blood. Tony Leenda, Devontae. These are guys that have come in and made an immediate impact, and Mike Z does not want to basically get pushed to the side.
Mike Z, a young and extremely driven man.
That's something that's undersold about Mike Z too, just how young he is. This is a guy in his early 20s with a body that looks like this. He can go just as well as show, finding his way in wrestling, and he is just a couple signature victories away from really going on a dominant run here. Anywhere. Is this the night that it all comes together and starts for Mike Z?
Taking up top, Miles flips out of it, finally showing a little bit of signs of life in here.
Miles Millennium said he has been reading a lot of Agatha Christie to get ideas on how to get out of submissions. Only a 2 count right there. Miles really likes to exercise his mind as well as his body.
Miles Millennium fighting Mike Z to get him over.
Mike Z with the reversal. And in this game of human chess, Mike Z, going up against a real grandmaster of 1CW, is performing more than admirably. Very impressive work by Mike Z, not just athletically, but intellectually. And that is the game you have to play against Miles Millennium.
Well, you were talking about how Mike Z is so young, and even about the dedication that he has on his body. If I'm right, Mike Z actually owns his own personal training company at his young age.
He's an entrepreneur. He knows how to do. That is, I think, the third of those suplexes in a row, saying it is finished. Might be right. Miles Millennium just at the last moment able to get that shoulder up, and Mike Z looking to push the issue.
And this crowd not sure how to take this.
One more time. There is strategy behind that, Mike. Going for that cover over and over again forces the person taking the pinfall attempt to exert so much energy in that kick out. It almost turns the pin attempt in it itself into an offensive maneuver. You are wearing out your opponent.
Oh, every time that you have to breathe in to kick out, every time you have to push somebody off of you. Beautiful kick.
And that guaranteed dance usually signaling something impressive for Mike Z, but in this moment it gave Miles Millennium just enough time to recover to hit a desperation super kick to the kisser.
Mike Z trying to get his way up before Miles Millennium.
This has been a great showing by Mike Z, but Miles Millennium hitting that next gear.
Finally, a little bit of emotion out of Miles.
Not just a little, he is a house on fire right now. That is the Flaming Desire. And it's going in for that Bucks Row Beauty.
That is all she wrote. I guess not. How many people have you seen kick out of the Bucks Row Beauty?
Historically, very few. Jack the Ripper had a pretty significant win-loss record.
Miles Millennium looks pretty angry right now.
Miles Millennium
Missing Mike Z.
Implant DDT by Mike Z. Is he going to get it? He's going to score the upset of his career.
Miles Millennium just kicking out.
On paper, no one would have predicted that this match would be this competitive, would go this long, or that as the minutes ticked by, Mike Z would look more and more the favorite. Kiko Harris cutter.
Going for the cover. Mike Z kicking out. Like I said, if you were treating this like an audition, Mike Z.
Wait, no. That was not the 3 count.
Mike Z putting on a heck of an audition for the next show.
Some confusion on display.
Miles went up. Mike Z caught him. Snake Eyes taking him up again. We've seen Mike Z use that before. Barely kicking out.
Our sound department jumping the gun, assuming, like we all would, that Miles Millennium would get the win off that cutter. That is how many matches Miles Millennium has won with that move, that as soon as he hit it, even the production team thought it was over.
Mike Z moves like all he drinks are 5-hour energies. Kick upstairs, putting him up top.
Like a man whose heart will explode at any moment.
Yes.
There it is, the Kiko Harris cutter for that Floridian wrestling legend, and Miles Millennium now earning that music to be played.
I can tell you this. As impressive as Mike Z is, and he put up a hell of a fight, this should have been a lot more cut and dry for Miles Millennium.
Miles Millennium may be reading about the art of pessimism, but there's a lot to be optimistic about when it comes to the career of Miles Millennium. That is 2 wins in a row. This company could be his oyster yet again if he can decide what title he wants to pursue. Few can stand in the way of the Ripper except for maybe himself.
Ladies and gentlemen, the man with the words of wisdom, Jason Heat. I'm Mike Fresh. This is 1CW on Delmarva Sports Network.